Picture this. You're an AI researcher in 2024 working on autonomous vehicles. Your goal is simple: build a car that can navigate the real world without crashing. But there's a problem. Traditional AI learns by trial and error, which means your car would need to crash thousands of times to learn not to crash. Obviously, that's not going to work. So you have a breakthrough idea. What if we gave machines the ability to practice in a safe, simulated world before acting in reality? What if we taught them to dream?
You build this system and it works brilliantly. Your AI starts running millions of imaginary scenarios while offline, dreaming up different driving situations, testing responses, refining its decision-making. But then, something extraordinary happens. As you study how your artificial dreams work, you realize you've accidentally solved one of the oldest mysteries in neuroscience: why humans dream. And the answer changes everything we thought we knew about our own minds.
Welcome to Mindcast. I'm Will, and today we're diving into one of the most revolutionary discoveries in cognitive science, a discovery that bridges artificial intelligence and human neuroscience in ways that will fundamentally change how you understand your own consciousness. We're exploring groundbreaking research from the Simulacrum of Self, a comprehensive analysis that reveals dreams aren't the random neural noise we once thought they were. Over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to share 3 insights that will completely reframe your relationship with your own mind. First, how AI researchers accidentally proved that any intelligent system, biological or artificial, must dream to function effectively. Second, the specific biological hardware your brain uses every night to run what I call a nightly data transfer between your conscious and subconscious systems. And third, why your dreams are so bizarrely weird, and why that weirdness is actually the most important part.
By the end of this episode, you'll understand why your brain needs to go offline every night to have conversations with itself, and how this discovery is revolutionizing everything from artificial intelligence to mental health treatment. So let's start with our first major revelation: the AI mirror, how machines taught us why we dream. Here's where our story really begins, and it starts in the most unlikely place, with robots trying to learn how to navigate hostile environments. For decades, artificial intelligence operated on what we call reactive systems. Show an AI a red light, it learns to stop. Show it 1,000 red lights, it gets really good at stopping. Simple input-output mapping.
But this approach has a catastrophic flaw in the real world. Real environments have what researchers call sparse rewards and high consequences. You only get a few chances to get things right, and mistakes can be deadly. An autonomous vehicle can't learn safe driving by crashing hundreds of times. A robot exploring Mars can't learn navigation by falling into craters repeatedly.
So AI researchers developed something revolutionary called world models. These are AI systems that build an internal simulation of their environment, then practice millions of scenarios while offline. The breakthrough came when they realized the AI didn't need to simulate every pixel of reality. It just needed to simulate the concepts, forces, and dynamics that mattered.
Think about this for a moment. The AI doesn't dream a photorealistic movie of driving. Instead, it dreams meanings. The vehicle will turn left and accelerate. Pedestrian will cross the street. Traffic light will change to red. It's dreaming concepts and causality, not surface-level visual details. Does this sound familiar? It should, because it's exactly how human dreams work.
When you dream, text is unreadable. Clocks don't make sense. Faces morph and shift. But the emotional content, the narrative meaning, the sense of cause and effect, those stay remarkably consistent. Just like AI world models, you're not dreaming pixels, you're dreaming concepts. Your brain is running offline simulations to refine its understanding of the world.
But the real breakthrough came with a system called SimLingo, designed for autonomous driving. SimLingo had a fascinating problem. Its language understanding was completely disconnected from its physical understanding. It could comprehend the words "turn left," but when those words conflicted with what it was seeing, the system would freeze up. The language part of the AI understood the command, but the motor part didn't know how to translate that into actual steering movements.
So researchers developed something called action dreaming. They would show SimLingo a single static scene, like an intersection, then simultaneously feed it multiple contradictory instructions. Turn left, go straight, slow down. The AI had to internally simulate distinct physical trajectories for each command, forcing its language module to communicate with its physics module through shared dreamlike scenarios. This was the eureka moment. SimLingo wasn't just learning to drive, it was solving the fundamental problem of how different types of intelligence communicate with each other. The simulation became the common language where incompatible systems could share information. And that's when researchers realized this is exactly what human brains might be doing during REM sleep.
Which brings us to our second major insight, the brain's nightly data transfer. Your brain isn't a single unified computer. It's more like a federation of specialized city-states: visual processing, motor control, emotional regulation, language, memory storage. Each has its own agenda, its own methods, its own type of intelligence. During wakefulness, these modules often operate semi-independently, sometimes even in conflict with each other.
But during sleep, something remarkable happens. Your brain activates what can only be described as a sophisticated inter-modular communication system. The star of this show is something called PGO waves, ponto-geniculo-occipital waves. These are high-amplitude electrical spikes that originate deep in your brainstem, travel through your thalamus, and hit your visual cortex with precise timing.
For decades, scientists dismissed PGO waves as random neural noise that your cortex tried to interpret after the fact. But new research reveals something extraordinary. PGO waves are data packets. They're your brainstem's way of transmitting compressed emotional and somatic information to your cortex in the only language your cortex understands: visual imagery.
Think of it this way. Your emotional subconscious brain is trying to send a text message to your rational conscious brain, but they don't speak the same language, so the subconscious brain converts its message into the only format the conscious brain can process: moving pictures. It's like biological PowerPoint, your emotions literally becoming visual metaphors.
Meanwhile, your thalamus, normally a relay station for external sensory data, completely changes its function during sleep. Instead of transmitting information from the outside world, it becomes an internal switchboard. Recent fMRI studies show that during REM sleep, your thalamus establishes simultaneous connections between brain regions that normally never talk to each other directly.
But here's the most fascinating discovery. There's a structure called the claustrum, a thin, irregular sheet of neurons that connects to almost every part of your cortex. During regular slow-wave sleep, your brain hemispheres operate independently, like two separate computers running different programs. But during REM sleep, the claustrum forces your left and right hemispheres to synchronize with millisecond precision.
This is profound. Your right hemisphere, which specializes in spatial processing, emotions, and implicit pattern recognition, is literally downloading its accumulated data to your left hemisphere, which specializes in language, logic, and explicit reasoning. REM sleep is your brain's designated time for inter-hemispheric file transfer.
Recent research has even identified specific spline rhythms, ultra-fast oscillations that facilitate precise communication between hemispheres during REM, specifically for coordinating spatial and memory information. Your brain has evolved dedicated bandwidth for this nightly data transfer, which leads us directly to our third insight.
The translation problem. Why dreams are beautifully bizarre. To understand why dreams are so wonderfully weird, we need to talk about what neuroscientist Michael Gazzaniga calls the interpreter. Gazzaniga discovered that your left hemisphere contains a specialized module whose primary job is creating coherent stories out of disparate information. During waking life, the interpreter seamlessly weaves sensory input and internal thoughts into logical narratives. I'm walking to the kitchen because I want coffee. I'm avoiding that person because they seem upset. It's your brain's built-in storyteller, constantly maintaining a coherent sense of self and purpose. But during REM sleep, the interpreter faces an impossible challenge. External sensory input is cut off, but it's being bombarded with intense internal data streams, PGO wave bursts creating pseudo-visual static, your amygdala firing intense emotions while your logical prefrontal cortex is offline, and memory fragments bubbling up with no external context to anchor them. The interpreter's job remains the same: make sense of this chaos. So it does what it always does. It constructs the most plausible narrative it can from the available inputs. Your amygdala fires a fear signal. Simultaneously, PGO waves force your visual cortex to generate an image of something dark and looming. Your hippocampus retrieves a childhood memory of a dog. The interpreter synthesizes these inputs. I'm being chased by a wolf monster in my childhood home. The bizarreness isn't a bug. It's a translation artifact. You're witnessing your brain's attempt to convert high-dimensional emotional and somatic data into the linear, logical structure of a narrative. It's like trying to translate a symphony into a sentence or describe the color blue using only mathematical equations. Some information is inevitably lost or distorted in the conversion process.
Here's a perfect parallel from AI research. When world model controllers receive compressed data that's noisy or ambiguous, they sometimes hallucinate scenarios to act upon. The AI fills in gaps with the most plausible scenario it can construct, even if that scenario turns out to be wildly improbable. Sound familiar? Your dreaming brain is doing exactly the same thing.
But here's what makes this truly extraordinary. Recent studies of lucid dreamers, people who become conscious during their dreams, show that practicing motor skills while dreaming leads to measurable improvement in physical performance when awake. This is biological sim-to-real transfer, the holy grail of robotics. Your dream simulation runs on a physics engine accurate enough to train real-world skills. Even more remarkable, in 2021, researchers at Northwestern University achieved something that sounds like science fiction. They established two-way communication with people actively dreaming. While subjects were in REM sleep, researchers asked them mathematical questions through audio cues, and the dreamers answered correctly using eye movements, in real time, during the dream. This proves that your conscious mind can access and manipulate your dreaming mind in real time. It validates the existence of active communication channels between executive networks and simulation networks. Your dreams aren't just random neural static. They're sophisticated simulations where your brain practices actions, tests hypotheses, and integrates disparate types of information. Now, let's synthesize these insights into 3 concrete takeaways that can transform how you understand your own mind. First takeaway: your intuition is actually data processing. Those gut feelings, those vague emotional responses you can't quite articulate, that's your right hemisphere's pattern recognition system detecting signals your conscious mind hasn't registered yet. Dreams are the mechanism that translates this intuitive processing into explicit knowledge you can act on. When you dream about workplace conflict or relationship tensions, your subconscious may have detected real social cues that your conscious mind missed. The metaphorical content isn't random. It's your interpreter's attempt to make implicit knowledge explicit.
This means paying attention to your dreams isn't mystical wishful thinking. It's practical intelligence gathering. Start keeping a dream journal. Look for patterns. What emotions keep recurring? What scenarios repeat? Your subconscious brain is trying to communicate important information about patterns it's detected in your environment.
Second takeaway: sleep isn't downtime. It's system maintenance. Just like AI systems need offline periods to run simulations and update their models, your brain needs sleep to integrate experiences, resolve conflicting information, and update your internal model of reality. This is why sleep deprivation doesn't just make you tired, it makes you bad at learning, decision-making, and emotional regulation. Think about how this reframes insomnia and sleep disorders. It's not just that you're tired, your brain modules are becoming desynchronized. They can't communicate properly, leading to the emotional volatility, cognitive fog, and poor judgment that come with chronic sleep loss. Your brain literally needs this nightly maintenance cycle to function optimally. This also explains why many breakthroughs and creative insights happen just after sleeping or during periods of relaxation. You're not just resting, you're giving your internal modules time to sync up and share information. Prioritize sleep not as lost productivity time, but as essential cognitive infrastructure maintenance.
Third takeaway: consciousness is a conversation, not a monologue. You're not a single, unified mind making rational decisions. You're a collection of specialized intelligences that need to communicate with each other to function effectively. Dreams are evidence of this conversation happening in real time, but the conversation continues throughout your waking life too. This has profound implications for decision-making and problem-solving. When you're stuck on a difficult problem, sometimes the solution isn't to think harder with the same cognitive tools. Instead, create space for different parts of your mind to contribute. Take walks, meditate, engage in activities that activate different neural networks. You're literally giving your internal modules opportunity to communicate. It also reframes mental health and emotional regulation. Depression, anxiety, and other conditions might partially result from communication breakdowns between brain modules. Therapies that help integrate different types of processing, like EMDR, mindfulness meditation, or even artistic expression, might work by facilitating better intermodular communication. The broader implications of this research extend far beyond neuroscience. If dreaming represents a computational necessity for any intelligence that must learn from sparse data and plan for uncertain futures, then what we've discovered isn't just how human brains work, it's a fundamental principle of intelligence itself. As AI systems become more sophisticated, they'll likely need increasingly sophisticated dreaming processes to remain robust and generalizable. And as we develop brain-computer interfaces and neural augmentation technologies, understanding these natural communication protocols becomes crucial for maintaining the integrity and functionality of human consciousness. We're also seeing applications in treating mental health conditions. Researchers are developing targeted interventions during REM sleep to help process traumatic memories, reduce anxiety, and even enhance learning.
Understanding dreams as active communication protocols opens entirely new avenues for therapeutic intervention. So the next time you wake up from a vivid, bizarre dream, remember, you've just witnessed one of the most sophisticated information processing systems in the known universe running its nightly maintenance cycle. That strange narrative your brain constructed, that wasn't random neural noise. That was intelligence itself, in its most raw and fundamental form. You witnessed a system learning to understand itself by simulating possible worlds, testing different versions of reality, and translating implicit knowledge into explicit understanding. Whether we're talking about biological neurons or silicon circuits, the pattern is the same. Intelligence requires a safe, offline sandbox to test hypotheses, integrate data, and align internal modules. We dream not just to remember, but to understand. Not just to consolidate the past, but to prepare for an uncertain future. And that understanding, born from the unexpected marriage of artificial intelligence and neuroscience research, is fundamentally changing what it means to be conscious, intelligent, and human. Thanks for joining me on Mindcast. I'm Will. If this episode changed how you think about your own consciousness, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more deep dives into the science of human potential. And remember, tonight when you go to sleep, you're not just resting. You're running the most sophisticated simulation software in the universe. Sweet dreams, and see you next time.